Greetings and salutations, folks, and welcome once again, as always, to another helping of Mr H's Hot Pot. You join me today for day 42 of the UK lockdown, where currently, once again, I'm out and about, taking my daily lockdown exercise, first thing in the morning to try and avoid the crowds and maintain social distancing, and I'm bringing you guys along for the ride as well. So, folks, day 42 of this lockdown period. Hope you're all well. I hope you're all keeping in good spirits and you're all fettling okay. Now today, day 42, brings the news that Boris Johnson is going to make his announcement next week, and the news hit the press really late last night and in the early hours of this morning. I think the Telegraph reported that he intends doing this on Sunday. So this coming Sunday is when he will unveil his roadmap for his plan to exit this lockdown period. Now, I myself, personally speaking, I'm quite disappointed that he's waited the full week. It really is going to the legal definition of next week, isn't it, by leaving it right to the death. But there's two reasons, there's two things you could look at this, two ways of looking at it, really. The first one could be that simply he's kicking the can down the road and he's got no answers. The second one makes a little bit more sense, and that is it gives them more time to analyse all this data. The more time they can get, the more chance they have of making the right call. And it also allows the government to slowly make a week of leaks regarding measures that are in this roadmap plan. And it sort of softens the public up for the more unpalatable measures that may be brought in, such as face masks and things like that. And it also, if there's a big public outcry regarding things such as face masks, it gives the government chance to quickly tweak and revise the roadmap plan and then come out and just deny that they ever intended bringing those measures in the first place. And I think that's where Boris is going with it. So we'll have to wait and see, won't we, Hot Potters? We'll have to wait until this coming Sunday for his plan to be unveiled before us. Now, obviously, there's a heavy emphasis on workplaces and schools. Those are the things that they're wanting to get back on track, really. I think they want to put teachers and that on notice for 3 weeks and then get the kids back in as of the 1st of June, really. And they won't be back 5 minutes, will they? And then they'll be off on their summer holidays for 6 weeks. But I suppose it gives them time to re-acclimatise to a classroom environment, really, and that might be the government's idea. Who knows? But regarding the workplace, I think it's going to be very interesting moving forward when we do all eventually start returning to our various industries, just what social measures are going to be put in place. There's talk about staggered work hours, where if you're in an environment where you're very close to other work colleagues and it's just not possible to maintain that social distancing, then they may consider putting us on staggered shifts and things like that. Which then brings round, does that then lead to layoffs? That's the next worry, isn't it, really? But it'll also be interesting to see how much what I call bullshit in the workplace is going to fall by the wayside with this. And what I mean by that is, I'm sure many of you have sat through meetings when you didn't need them. You were stuck in a room with a lot of work colleagues and you was all just sat there chewing a pencil, looking up at the ceiling, thinking, when is this thing going to wind up? Well, I think we're going to see the end of those kind of meetings because social distancing just won't allow for it, will it? So it'll be interesting to see if it puts paid to a lot of rubbish in the workplace. Another thing I'm hoping it'll put paid to is the yearly appraisals. Now, these things have many, many different names, depending on your industry, depending on your company. But they all have the basic premise where at certain points throughout the year, you will sit down with your supervisor or line manager and you will discuss your aspirations in your job and things like that. And it's usually just a bullshitting exercise, to be honest. The people who can talk the talk the most, they're the ones that get through these things okay, but the rest of us just end up sat there thinking, what's all this about? Well, hopefully it'll put an end to that as well, because you can't have situations where you're sat in a confined space in close proximity to your line manager anymore with social distancing rules. So I do hope it'll put the end to that. They're usually an American idea that have come over, and a lot of companies have used these as a way of pegging and not giving people bonuses and things like that. So I do hope it'll put an end to those. I know in my job they've sort of been suspended for the time being. Let's hope they never return. I do not like them things, I really don't. Anyway, it'll also be interesting to note if social distancing will become the new health and safety. You know, I'm sure we've all run up against someone at some point who didn't do something that they should have done, and they try and mask their own laziness or incompetence by, you know, quoting some non-existent health and safety regulations. It'll be interesting to see if people will start quoting social distancing as a reason something didn't get done. You know, I couldn't do it because there was too many people about and things like that. Very interesting. You know, he could be opening a can of worms, could old Boris, really. Because there's always people who will take advantage of a situation, isn't there? You know, there's always that. Anyway, folks, a big thank you to everybody who commented on yesterday's vlog, as always. And it does seem that, like I say, the old face mask thing will rage and rage. Now, I saw a very comical one yesterday. As I'd wrapped up yesterday's vlog and I was driving back home in the old jalopy, I noticed one fella walking down the road, and this is true, it's as true as I'm stood here. He was wearing a motorcycle crash helmet. He clearly hadn't been on a motorcycle. He wasn't dressed for the rest of the gear that he would have on for normal motorcycle riding. So he'd simply put this helmet on to try, you know, and use it as a mask, basically. Or maybe he was being ironic and proving a point, who knows. But it does prove our point, doesn't it, Hot Potters, that we're going to see all kinds of silly things being used as masks going forward if the government does indeed bring that in. Just an interesting point, I just thought I'd include it in today's little vlog. So, folks, like I say, a big thank you to everybody who's commented on yesterday's vlog. It's very touching and it's very humbling that many of you have said the only thing that you will miss about the lockdown period is these vlogs. I do find that rather heartwarming. And I do hope that when I do move forward and go on to my normal kind of videos, as I like to term them, it's hoped that many of you will continue to follow me and will move over to those videos as well. For the foreseeable future, and by that I mean up until Sunday, it looks like he's stuck with me, Hot Potters. You know, it does look like he's stuck with me. But I think once we start seeing this roadmap, that's when I can start backing off from this. And I don't think I'll ever top this run of videos that I've had. And although it's the most I've ever had in, you know, one at the back of the other, because it's coming up now to, I'm moving towards 50 days, aren't I, with this? It doesn't feel, for me personally, like it's the most productive I've ever been, if that makes any sense. The most productive I've felt I've ever been on YouTube was when I was over in Florida and I was making vlogs from over there. And I was doing other little videos and, you know, I was slipping them in here, there and everywhere. If you haven't watched them, I'm going to do a shameless plug here. If you haven't got that far back in my catalogue, please go and take a look at them. It was a good time for Mr. H, that, on YouTube. Like I said, I was churning videos out and I was very, very productive. And although this is the most amount of videos that I've done each day, I don't feel it's been my most productive personally, but that's just me. Maybe some people out there will say, you know, you're underselling yourself, Mr. H, as always. Anyway, folks, we are coming up to the old 10-minute mark, as always. So what I'm going to quickly do, I'm going to quickly whip the camera around and show you this little charming wooded area that I'm in at this moment in time, because it's rather peaceful in here and it's a little bit of an oasis here in my hometown of Wigan. So I'll just whip the camera around and show you. Just look at that. Beautiful as always, isn't it? And I know many of you out there are worried that once I get back to my normal style of doing videos, that you won't be getting to see scenes of the countryside. I will still go out for the odd bimble, as I like to call them. It's a bit of a term I nicked from another YouTuber. Sorry, Bri. You know, we all learn from each other, don't we? But yeah, I will be doing other little bimbles, and I will be going out in the countryside. But those videos will probably tend to be COVID-19 free, which won't be a bad thing, really, will it? Anyway, folks, on that note, as we are coming up to the old 10-minute mark, it's now time for me to bid you adieu. So, until the next time, when it'll be day 43 of the UK lockdown, I bid you a very good day. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe and bye-bye for now.